Feeling good, feeling great. Feeling great, feeling good. How are you? Welcome into Timeline T. I am your host, D. Sam D, aka Santuzume Jr. Thursday, one more day before the weekend. One more day before Cinco de Mayo. Turn up responsibly. Oh, today was a day. Today was a day, and we ain't even get to, Lakers Warriors tonight. As you see, as you click on the title, Lamar Jackson signs his deal. It is official. We have the numbers. We have the structure. We have the stipulations. We have the clauses. We're here to break it all down. Celtics bounce back in a major way. Joel Embiid, gallant performance, tried to play through the pain. He said he should be out 4 to 6 weeks. It looked like it last night. And again, going into tonight, can the Lake Show break a streak that the Sixers couldn't break last night? In terms of road teams winning game one, can the Lakers break a streak that the Sixers couldn't last night? We'll touch on it. Salute to those pulling up. Thank you for the likes as y'all pull in. Subscribe if you haven't already, all that type of good stuff. Don't really go too crazy. I mean, you see it there in the scroll. You see the tip jar if you want to support the channel, all that type of good stuff. But let's begin. There's a lot to get into. There's a lot to navigate. Okay, so Lamar was introduced. Lamar had a lot to say. We're going to try to go through as much of it as we can. I think there's going to come a point where we have to have a conversation. Do you prefer a contract where you get all your money up front? Or do you want a contract where you have to continue playing at a high level to keep getting paid? That's the decision I'm asking you in the chat to make. Do you want all your money guaranteed up front, no matter your performance, no matter if you get injured or not? Or do you want a contract where you basically earn your pay? It's incentive laden, it's financially beneficial, but you have to keep playing at a higher level to get that money. That's essentially the two types of contracts we've seen in the NFL. Either you get your money up front, if you're Deshaun Watson, if you're Kirk Cousins, and now, based off some research I did today, there was a lot of restructuring with that Aaron Rodgers contract that was fully guaranteed in Green Bay because of the trade to the Jets. Now that contract now has some funny money in it, such as life Aaron Rodgers. So now we really only have the two contracts that are fully guaranteed in terms of Kirk Cousins and Deshaun Watson. Believe who you want to believe, but allegedly Lamar was trying to get or attempting to get, if not fully guaranteed, at least more guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson. If he plays this deal out to its fullest, he can get there. But he has to play it out to its fullest. Now, there's been a lot of mixed reaction about this contract. Some people are pushing the narrative of this is an amazing deal. His mom and himself and what other representatives helped them out behind the scenes did a fantastic job with this deal. Then you have another camp that is like, this ain't that much different than the $200 million allegedly guaranteed contract you turned down last year. And there are some that are insinuating this deal isn't that much better than that contract. So we have the numbers, we have the structure. Feel free to pull up, grab a drink if you need to, because there's going to be a lot of math, and we're going to try to math this math in. There's not a lot of funny money. It's just overwhelming with incentives and bonuses, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into the screen. All right. You see it here at the top. The deal is signed, yada, yada, yada. We start with the signing bonus. 72.5 mil, right? 72.5 mil signing bonus. That is the highest signing bonus ever awarded. So we give Lamar his props for that. He got the most in the signing bonus. So again, when we're looking at these contracts, there's a few things to look for. The total amount guaranteed in terms of the real guarantee, not the if I play to the end of the contract guarantee, just the guarantee, the total guarantee, or in industry terms, the injury guarantees, right? Now we know he has the most injury guarantees outside of Deshaun Watson as of right now. He has 185 million total guaranteed no matter what. Now he got 72.5 million just off the signing bonus. So that's another number. So he now has the highest in the league in terms of signing bonus and the highest in the league in terms of total injury guarantee. All right. So base salary, $7.5 million, fully guaranteed. That's for this upcoming year. $7.5 million, fully guaranteed. Okay, so he gets about $80 million this year alone. That now breaks the record set by Dak Prescott. Okay, so Lamar did a lot of things to get this money monetarily to break a lot of records, right? If you're going to take a traditional incentive-laden contract, like Mahomes, like Josh Allen, like Kyler Murray, like Jalen Hurts, then you at least better beat some numbers to make you and your people feel good about the negotiation process, right? So now he has the highest signing bonus, and if you combine that money with his base salary this upcoming year, it's $80 million all this year. Another record. Cool, right? Okay. So then next year, there's an option bonus. $17.5 million, fully guaranteed. He gets an offseason roster bonus next year. $750,000, fully guaranteed. So a lot of guaranteed money. So if you're pro Lamar, you're feeling good, right? You're feeling good. Now the base salary, $14.25 million, fully guaranteed. So he has an option bonus and the base salary with the offseason roster bonus. So let's combine this. This is $15 million, right? 14.25 and 3/4. This is $15 million. And then we have the 17.5 option bonus. So that's what, $32.5 million? Okay. 32.5 million. Now, there's an option bonus for 2025 that gets fully guaranteed in March of next year, right? So this is part of the injury guarantee, guaranteed for injury at signing and fully guaranteed 2024. So this 22.5 million is a part of the 185 fully guaranteed, right? Okay. I know it's a lot of numbers, but walk with me, okay? Now we have the offseason roster bonus. That's another $750,000 million. Again, this is guaranteed for injury and at signing and fully guaranteed March of 2024. So again, that's part of the 185 million. Okay. The base salary, we have 20.25 million. Okay. So we look at the base salary, it's creeping up. 7.5 million this year. Then we have 14.25 next year. Then we have 20.25 in 2025. So the base salary is basically, going up by 7 every year. Okay. Now, this base salary, guaranteed for injury at signing and fully guaranteed in March 2024. So in March 2024, that's the magic number for Lamar. Yes, I'll do the spotlight today. March 2024, that is the magic number for Lamar. He hits that number and he's good. He's upright. He's healthy. There's no drama. There's a lot of M's coming to that account, okay? Now, 2025, that's the base salary, 20.25, but that's part of the 185 million, right? 2026 roster bonus, $750,000 million. 2026 base salary. Here's where the money jumps. So it goes from 2025, right, which is fully guaranteed as of March 2024. So just get the March 2024. Your 2025 base pay is already locked in. So that's an extra 20 M's, guaranteed, no matter what. Then you get the offseason roster bonus, 3/4. That's not part of the 185. You don't see the verbiage here, guaranteed for injury. You don't see that here, right? So that's not part of the 185 million. The 2026, this is where the money jumps up, 51.25 million. 51.25 million, 29 of which is guaranteed for injury at signing and fully guaranteed March 2025. So this 29 is part of the 185, but it doesn't really hit until 2025. Okay? So you see how that 185, they're kind of spreading that out. Okay? They're spreading out the 185. Again, it's only 70. Well, again, only is the pejorative term here, but 72 and a quarter up front at signing, and then another 7.5 base pay. So 80 million this year alone. But in terms of that 185, they're breaking that 185 down throughout this contract. 29 of the 51 and a quarter in 2026, 29 of that comes out of the 185. Now, if he gets to 2027, offseason roster bonus the same, $750,000, and then the base pay, the last year of the deal, 51 and a quarter mil. So again, 102.5 million of this contract is all at the end, and a portion of that is in the guarantees that makes up 180. That makes up part of the 185. Don't worry, we're mathing here, okay? So we're fine. We all should be up to speed, okay? This pretty simple math to keep track of, okay? This deal includes a no trade clause and a no tag clause. That's the interesting part here because, again, if you look at this from a structured breakdown, this is not that different than the deal that he allegedly turned down last year. If you do it from a numbers perspective, it's not that different. I know there's some people that are championing Lamar today, and that's great. You should. He got a bag. He got a bag. In my opinion, did he get the bag? Not really. But this is a bag, without a doubt. There's no way. And the funny money that I was hoping wouldn't be in here is not in here. There's a little bit of it, but it's more incentive backloaded. That's where they're trying to curb away from the funny money as much. And they're pushing more towards, we're just going to backload it. We're just going to make you earn it every year instead of just bloating the number with incentives and things you can't reach that are so out of the world that you can't reach. We're just going to make you earn it on the back half. And this is one of those deals. The Jalen Hurts deal was like that. The Kyler Murray deal is about 3/4 of that. But the Jalen Hurts deal is essentially the blueprint for this deal, along with the deal that Lamar allegedly turned down last year. This is pretty much the same structure. They just moved some of the money up more in this deal and compared to the $200 million deal, $200 guaranteed deal that he allegedly turned down last year. And again, that $200 million deal that keeps getting referenced, that's the 3 for 133 that Lamar actually responded to on Twitter and was refuting the claims of him turning that deal down. Okay, you got all that? I think we're okay. If you need me to run back anything, just let me know in the chat, but I think we're in a good space here. So, the no trade clause and the no tag clause. Of these two, the no tag clause is the one that matters here. Because if we're going off of the deal that he turned down last year, that deal and this deal have a lot of similarities. Both deals are essentially where you get the bulk of your money in those 3 years in terms of guarantees. The back half is all incentives if you're still here type money. Okay, that's basically pay as you go money. The first 3 years is, here dog, you got it. For these 3 years, we gonna pay you top tier no matter what happens, especially that March 2024 date, right? Now though, those back 2 years are basically pay as you go. You still here? Okay, here's 50 M's. Oh, you still here? All right, here's another 50 M's. But the bulk of the guarantee bread is up front. So, all right, here's where we go. Now, the no tag part is important because after that 3rd year, that's when it kind of can be a thing, right? Because normally, if he goes through this with the 3 years and then the money can be year to year, you can have concerns about a trade, for sure. And the no tag thing is important because even after the 5 years, so he has to get through these 5 years. He has to get through all 5 of these years. Then he gets to finally be a free agent. Now, again, you could make the argument that if he would have stayed in and just took the tag this year and next year, he would have cleared about 70-ish, 70 to 80 M's fully guaranteed, and then he could have been a free agent. But in this deal, he gets 3 years, and we'll crunch the numbers in a second in terms of all the guarantees after the 3 years, but it's the highest 3-year cash flow of any contract that is signed in league history. And if you compare his 3 years to what Mahomes got, it blows Mahomes out the water. And this is a guy that's going to make 450 M's if we're to believe the numbers, which does have funny money in it, by the way. But if we're just to believe the sheer mass of the numbers, Mahomes jumped out there first. He took the big number in terms of the 10 years, the 450, instead of being able to bang him in the head every few years to get more bread. Now that he has signed that deal, and I've talked about it here, and Chiefs fans have been upset. They think I'm making a big deal out of nothing, even though the owner of the Chiefs is out here saying, yeah, we know he's underpaid, but I mean, he signed a contract. We can't ever pay him what the value of what he actually is. That seems problematic as hell to me, but I'll let y'all tell me. So anyway, appreciate you, Scrub. Scrub, let me know that we good with the explanations. Cool. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, I just want to make sure I'm not going over anybody's head. All right, so now the contract contains $112.5 million fully guaranteed at signing, right? After 1 season, the full guarantee moves to $156 million. After 2 years, it becomes $185 million. Okay? So now that's essentially the vesting money that is the total guarantees. 185. There's your 185. That's where that comes from. So again, the contract contains $112.5 million fully guaranteed at signing. Okay? So that's all this money in terms of the signing bonus, the base salary, if you're talking about the option bonus and all this type of stuff, like that stuff is that's all locked in together, right? Now, all the stuff that has to vest until March 2024, that's not spoken about, and there's $112.5 million. After 1 season, the full guarantee moves to $156 million. That's where the March money comes in. And then after 2 years, it becomes $185 million. And then that's when the March 2025 money comes in, like right here. There's $29 million. It's essentially a 3-year, $156 million deal with a lingering guarantee of $29 million for the 4th year. The $29 million will be subject to be offset. So now that $29 million is that 2026 million right here, which would be guaranteed by March 2025. Okay. The cash flow is $80 million in year 1. So that's $80 million in terms of the base salary of 7.5, and then the signing bonus of 72.5. $112.5 million through year 2, $156 million through year 3, $208 million through year 4, and $260 million through year 5. Now, year 4 and 5 is assuming he's there, he hasn't fell off, any of that type of stuff. Now, again, they can't trade him, but they can still cut him. Now, it's going to take a lot of money to eat that, but in theory, most likely, he's going to be there for the full 5 years no matter what. Now, the thing here is, the GM, Eric DaCosta, is telling people it's basically the 2022 offer made by the team with enhancements. And those enhancements get him to the highest 3-year cash flow of any player in league history, 93 million more than Patrick Mahomes received. So now let's get to those numbers. You see, 3-year cash flow for quarterbacks reveals how badly Patrick Mahomes needs a new deal. Again, the owner of the Chiefs is basically has said on the record, Mahomes is underpaid, and there's no way we can figure out how to pay him better, which is a lie, but that's what Clark Hunt got off. So, if we look at the money here, here's the 3-year cash flow for the current high-end quarterback deals. Now, this is 3 years. Now, again, this is before the Rodgers trade, right? April 25th. Yeah, this is before the Rodgers trade, because I found out today in my research, this $150 million, which was fully guaranteed, is not fully guaranteed no more. So this Aaron Rodgers thing is going to dip. But the 3-year cash flow for the current high-end quarterback deals goes as follows. Again, Aaron Rodgers, put an asterisk next to that. Deshaun Watson, 138. Dak Prescott, 126. Matthew Stafford, sneaky, pulling up a 120. Russell, with that extension by the Broncos, 119. Daniel Jones, 4 years, $160 million. The cash flow of that 160 is mostly in the first 3 years, 112 and a half. It's a lot of funny money in that contract. And a lot of that's not guarantees. I'm not sure how these numbers work for Daniel Jones because we looked at that contract. I don't know how they got 112 and a half, but we'll roll with it. Kyler Murray, 107. Jalen Hurts with his new deal, 106. Josh Allen, who signed right after Mahomes, $92.3 million. And Patrick Mahomes, he of the 10-year, $450 million contract over the first 3 years of that deal, only cleared 63 M's. Now, again, of that $450 million, only 141 of that 450 is guaranteed. Make of it what you will, but now that we have Lamar numbers is definitely going to trump what Mahomes got. So now Mahomes ain't even top 10. Arguably, the hell with it, the best quarterback in the league is the 11th highest paid in terms of 3-year cash flow. But keep telling me how, if Mahomes ain't complaining, why should we be talking about it? Because this right here is the market dictating what the bread should be. And arguably, and most probably won't argue, the best quarterback in the whole sport ain't even the top 10 in terms of guarantees, and damn sure ain't top 10 now with this Lamar deal in terms of 3-year cash flow, which is another barometer that they measure these contracts against. So if we're talking about Lamar Jackson declines to address his trade request. If you remember in that Twitter thread that was dropping the minute Harbaugh was talking at the combine, he timed it perfectly. And during Thursday's press conference regarding the deal, Lamar was asked to address what changed between asking to be traded and signing a new deal. He declined to elaborate. Today, we're going to keep it about the future. I'm not really worried about what happened in the past. I'm going to keep it about these next 5 years and keep it about what's going on today. It's a great day. Okay. Look, it was a posturing play. Did he really want to be traded? Probably not. But if he was going to find a team that was going to give him the money he was looking for, because again, this contract is not that different than the one he turned down. And I understand Ravens fans or Lamar fans feel away, but it's like, this deal ain't that much different. It's a bag, but it ain't that much different. They just pumped up the money a little bit on the front end, gave you a little bit more on the back end, and you signed. Because you probably tried to get the bag, and there was no movement there. So, it really just comes down to, do you want your money now, or do you want it on the back end? Patrick Mahomes signed away 10 years of his life, 10 years of his prime for backloaded money. When you're seeing guys like Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray to a certain degree, only have to sign away 5-6 years for Josh Allen, but 5 for Lamar, 5 for Kyler Murray, and Jalen Hurts, and still get the bag. It's a backloaded bag, but it's a bag that it's a bag in half the time of Mahomes. If Lamar plays this out, and let's say he magically hits everything and he gets to 260, he could then go be a free agent. And if he's still him in 5 years, he can then really go kill him for another 300-400 maybe even? Because who knows where the TV contracts are going to be, where the streaming rights are going to be, any of that type of stuff. So in theory, Lamar's 10 years with 2 contracts will most likely be more than Mahomes on his 10-year contract. Now, sure, the Chiefs and Mahomes can spin the block and renegotiate, rip that contract up, and give them fresh new money. But if your owner is out here saying, you're underpaid, and there's no way that we could quantifiably pay you the way that you're worth. What makes you think they're in a rush to rip that contract up? So Lamar, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, maybe even Josh Allen can all cash out more than Patrick Mahomes with 2 contracts than he's doing in 1. And, we head to the chat. You see what it is? It's clear Lamar Jackson is a better businessman than Patrick Mahomes. I mean, the timing was right. The timing was right for Lamar. He had a lot of blueprints in front of him. Because to be quite honest, do you really need an agent if you're trying to establish a deal? There's only 2 sets of contracts, and I think I began to stream this way. There's 2 sets of contracts. You can try to do it the Kirk Cousins and Deshaun Watson way, or you could do it the traditional way. There's not a lot of wiggle room in those things. There's not a lot of wiggle room in those contracts. It's either it's going to be fully guaranteed in the structure of Deshaun Watson and Kirk Cousins, or it's going to be in the traditional layout in terms of Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, Murray, so on and so forth. So once you choose your blueprint, the language, there's not a lot of there doesn't need to be a high level of economics to figure this out. And I'm not here suggesting that Lamar and his moms and whoever else don't have a high level of economics, but it just comes down to once the blueprint of the contract is there in front of you, you take the Jalen Hurts deal and he got $6 million more fully guaranteed, and he got $1 million more in total average. So it's like, all right, take that Jalen Hurts thing, cross that number out, make this number a little higher, take this number, make it a little higher, and away we go. And then once you add into the fact that the GM of the Ravens is saying on the record, this is the same deal we offered him last year, just a little better, then how much would you really need an agent for that? You don't really need an agent if the team is saying, all right, here's the deal. This is the parameters of which we're willing to work with. Once that happens, that's it. So, that's where we're at with it when it comes down to this. Yeah, how do I appreciate you? Let's see what we got. Robert Gray, welcome to the chat. Was Lamar offered a no trade clause and no tag clause in the contract he turned down? To our recollection, we don't have that information. I'm going to assume no. So that could be part of the enhancements that EDC, Eric DaCosta, was talking about. Okay, see down here? That could be part of the enhancements. In terms of it's basically the 2022 offer made by the team with enhancements. So that could be what we're talking about, the no tag and the no trade. So that could be part of the enhancements, not just let's bump the money up on the front end, let's bump the money up on the back end, but all right, we'll give you a no tag so you're never in this thing ever again. Now, mind you, he has to play 5 years to get there. 5 years is a long time in the NFL, but assuming Lamar's that dude, he keeps his body right, he keeps playing at this level, he can cash out again. Thank you for tapping in, Robert Gray. Appreciate you. Scrub, I don't trust the Chiefs to do the right thing, and I don't trust Mahomes to push for the money he should get. Well, clearly he didn't on the front end, right? Like, clearly he didn't. And I feel like I'm banging the drum here, and I'm saying the same thing, but it really just comes down to they came to you and they said, we want to lock you in. You're coming off a Super Bowl victory. You're coming off a regular season MVP. You're coming off leading the league in touchdown passes. And you took a backloaded contract. I just don't understand the concept there. Now, again, Kirk Cousins had laid the groundwork before that. I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes is dumb or is an idiot or is anything of that matter. What I am saying is, though, that I think it was a missed opportunity. Being able to, and I'll come off the screen here, being able to have that type of money where the team is basically at your mercy. The Chiefs backed up the Brinch truck, or perceivably they would have. If Mahomes would have said, yeah, 450, cool, guaranteed. You don't think the Chiefs would have did that? I mean, there was GMs this summer or this offseason that said if Mahomes was in the Lamar Jackson situation where you're on the franchise tag and it's non-exclusive and you're trying to explore trades, there will be teams lining up all over to sign him to a fully guaranteed Deshaun Watson type deal. So that shows the power right there. Now, Mahomes could shock us and go out there and go get a ridiculous amount of bread fully guaranteed. No one would blink an eye in the NFL. Sure, you might have a couple of rogue owners who might, cause a stir, but by and large, most teams would pay that bread. Would it shock you? I'll ask y'all in chat. Would it shock you now that we're seeing all these people get so much more money in guarantees, in 3-year cash flows, in total guarantees, all of this than Patrick Mahomes? If Mahomes were to actually go back to the Chiefs and say, yeah, we need to fix this. We need to rip up that 10-year 450 that I'm 3 years into. And I need some new money. If he said 500 fully guaranteed over the next, you can't give him another 10 years. 5 years, 500. I know that sounds like a lot. 100 million guaranteed, that sounds crazy, Sam. I understand. However, if the owner of the team that signed you to that 10-year, $450 million guaranteed, $450 million contract, not guaranteed, it's telling you you are underpaid. We can't quantify a financial way to pay you your full worth. Then let's double the money up. You said I'm underpaid no matter what. He went on to say he will forever be, in one way or another, he will be underpaid forever. So if that's the case, then let's double that money up. 450, a ton of it backloaded? No. Rip. Let's go ahead and at least double that. I'll go 900. Let's go ahead and double that 450 to 900. Now, am I still underpaid? You got that in escrow to cut that check? You say I'm underpaid. Let's double that bread and see if you still think I'm underpaid. The negotiation has to start real soon because Burrow's coming, Herbert's coming, Trevor Lawrence is coming. Pause. Something's going to have to give. Something's going to have to give. Because this money here is solid. It's essentially let's see if we could find the 3-year deal. Let me see if I can find a 3-year deal that was backloaded. Give me a second here because you will see once we break this down, it's very similar. I appreciate those pulling up. I appreciate the likes. Thank y'all so much. This is the content that I do. I take some of the stories that people are talking about and I try to pull up different angles on them, whether it's, the money aspect, because sometimes we hear these numbers, but there's no one really to break it down for people like you and I to understand. So this is part of what I do here. We've done a lot in regards to this Lamar Jackson whole contract saga. There's a whole playlist on this channel of just different videos of us breaking down each step of how we got here. So thank you for pulling up. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. But let's see if we could get to the 3-year 133 that Lamar turned down. He's got a lot of tweets I got to comb through, but let's see if we can get there. Bear with me. I know the scrolling is a lot. 3 years, 133. Okay, so then that's the tweet that he did when it comes to the trade request right here, March 27th. The 3 years, 133. Probably should have just searched it. We'll find it in a sec. Big trust. Man, he's got a lot of tweets. Okay, LJ. Yeah, just go ahead and do that. LJ underscore ER 8 133. There we go. Okay. 3 years, 133, fully guaranteed, but I need an agent. Okay. So now here is the story that him turning down 200 million guaranteed back in September, which the GM is saying this is essentially the deal that he signed today. This was the framework that they worked off of. Okay. So if we're getting to the shits, this is where we're at. A deal this is Chris Mortensen and Adam Schefter. They were the ones that reported on this. Jackson turned down a deal from the Ravens with $200 million in guaranteed money. Okay, a deal that included at the time he was offered 133 due at signing, and that's compared to what today? He got how much at signing? What was it? 112 fully guaranteed at signing. Okay. So now whether we want to take that for what it is, we don't know the offer of that contract per se, but that is what they're saying. Okay, so 112, let me find that story again. Boom. A deal at the time he was offered 133 million due at signing, 133 million guaranteed. The contract also had the injury guarantees that brought the guarantees to 175. So okay, he got 185 in this contract. If we're to believe this 200 guaranteed contract that the GM is saying this new deal was based off of, he got 10 extra million in injury total guarantees. 175 to 185. Okay. Now, this 133 is way higher than what he got today. He got 112 and a half today. So I don't know who to believe on that one, but he got lesser in the million guaranteed at signing, but he got more in the total guarantees. And then don't forget the no tag clause and the no trade clause. And it had a springing guarantee, much like those bonuses we talked about in the contract, had a springing guarantee that could have brought the value for the contract, the guaranteed money of the contract, to 200 million in guarantees. And yes, those were the actual numbers, and that was the situation. So those really were the guarantees for Lamar Jackson. So this framework is very similar, if we're to believe it. And again, Lamar hit him with the, that's cap. That's what Lamar hit him with. Now, whether that was real or not, we don't know. But it certainly seems like if the GM of the team is saying, yeah, this is what the deal we worked on was based off of. Again, he talked to Pro Football Talk, Eric DaCosta, and he told them it's basically the 2020 to 2022 offer made by the team with enhancements. So Lamar may be calling cap, but the GM he just signed the deal with is saying, nah, dogs, this is based off the deal you turned down last year. And if we're to break down the guarantees, it's not that much of a difference. He got less at signing, but more in total guarantees. Who do you believe? So that's where we're at here. There's not much more I can do to break it down. That's about, over half an hour of breaking down this contract. If we had more to language, so we could get the numbers officially here. Spot Track has got it all laid out for us here. We've been using this site a lot to compare the different QBs. And this is where we're at with it. You see the 7.5. You see the signing bonus is broken up over the years. But in terms of the bread up front, he gets all of that right now. But in terms of the breakdown, they break it down all over 14.5 each year. But ultimately, he gets that up front. So you see the way the contract is. So again, if we go off the narrative of the 3 years, 133, and we try to calculate the 3 years and what this money is significantly more than what Patrick Mahomes is getting. Because look, if you do the math here, the 72.5 plus the 7.5 plus the 14.25 plus the 20.25 plus the other guarantees that vest March of 2024 in March of 2025. Those 3 years are, let me see. That's roughly, get the 112 guarantee that's signing. 17.5, that's 130. 132, 133. Yeah, it's about 150-ish million. 150-ish million. So again, the 3 years 133 is now 3 years 150-ish, maybe touching close to 160-ish. So you get a bump there. So that's where this money just keeps coming, and it is the same deal. I'm gonna roll with Eric DaCosta, and I am not a fan of rolling with the GM. But once you break down the numbers here, this is more or less the same deal he turned down last year, just with, like he said, enhancements. But as we go down the timeline of the reaction, here we go with both the no tag clause and the no trade clause. There's a lot of stuff to break through here. $80 million in cash in year one, and you see here Joel Corey, who was a former agent. Lamar Jackson's 72.5 signing bonus is the most ever in an NFL contract. Dak Prescott had the previous record with $66 million. We talked about that earlier. And then if you want to keep breaking stuff down, after 5 years, he's a free agent with no restrictions. We talked about that. Spot Track, the largest signing bonuses in NFL history. We got Lamar Jackson with $72.5 million. Dak with 66. Stafford with 60. Russell Wilson with 50. Deshaun Watson, 45. But remember, with that, Deshaun Watson is 45, 230 fully guaranteed. Here's some information from the press conference. Jackson said that teams reached out to him, but he didn't care about other teams. Quote, "I was tired of going back and forth about it. The time had come." I think the time had come in terms of no one was willing to put the draft capital up and the bread to go sign him. So he had to come on back home to the Ravens, take the traditional contract route, and just make it happen. Just let's make sure the money I'm getting is better than everybody else in this format, and that's essentially what they did. Josina Anderson, Lamar Jackson, on if he plans to continue representing himself. Quote, "I do. I wouldn't trust anyone else but myself. Salute." I just want to see him fully unrestricted. But we got to wait 5 years. And we got to hope that he's still him in 5 years to see it. I'm not going to sit here and say he won't be him in 5 years. It's just that's asking a lot for him to be at this level for 5 more years to see how he looks at that point in time. Now we have more from Eric DaCosta. Other teams might have thought the Ravens would match Lamar Jackson's offer sheet. So this is kind of what we were inferring to in terms of taking the last deal from last year and doing the enhancements of it. There's a lot of information here, but more or less he's pro franchise tag, which is not a shock. And they weren't necessarily afraid about the cap because they already had the 32.4 because of the franchise tag already lined up. They're insinuating that no one pursued Jackson. Again, Lamar said otherwise during his press conference. So it's just a lot of back and forth. Who do you believe? But the numbers are the numbers. This deal looks very much similar to the one that he turned down last year. Which is no shade to Lamar. He got a bag. Not the bag, if he could have broke the bank in terms of Deshaun Watson style, Kirk Cousins style, but he got a bag. And it's a great day for him, obviously a great day for his family, and it's a great day for other quarterbacks. It's a great day for the quarterbacks who haven't signed yet. Now Joe Burrow and his agents, they have an easy frame to work off of. $185 million is now the new number to beat, right? When we talk about these total guarantees, $185 million is now the new number to beat. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, this is now the new number to beat. Okay? Total guarantee that's signing. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, this is now the new number to beat. Signing bonus. Do I need to say it again? No. This is the new number to beat. So we'll see if they can make this happen. The total years and all that stuff is cool too. Like 5 years, 260. That 52 million a year matters in terms of, inflating the number. But again, if you look at this, Lamar is not getting the bulk of that bread in terms of that 51 number. He ain't even getting that until the back half in terms of actual salary. And that's why people like myself and others kind of say this is kind of funny money, because you say someone's making 52 million a year. When we're looking at the salary breakdown, he's never making 52 million a year in this contract. He gets close at the back end. He makes 51.2, but he's never making 52 million a year. So that's why I always try to implore people, you have to look past the total value stuff and look at the guarantees. Because, if he is 30 years old, 29 years old, and he's still him, yeah, he'll collect a cool 102.5 million on the back end of this deal. So, this is where the money is really, in terms of the money, that's kind of where it's funny to me. Because you telling me someone makes 52 million a year, and I'm looking at your base salary and I never see 52, then that math doesn't math. But then you throw in the guarantees, you throw in the signing bonus, you throw in all the other stuff, then it's like, oh, if you structure it and add in all this money over here to this money, like, oh, okay. But on that W-2, it's never going to say 52 million. That W-2, Lamar's W-2 is never going to say 52 M's. Okay, let's hit the chat. Robert Gray, EDC admitted that the tag had Lamar in a binding situation as far as talking to other teams. If Lamar were a true free agent, there have been pressers. They would have been pressed because he'd be on another squad. Yeah, that's, excuse me, that's kind of been my main thing, Robert. It's like, I really wish we could have gotten an opportunity to see him free and clear. And I understand why you do this deal. I'm not shading him for doing this deal. I just think he had enough leverage, in my opinion, to play out the next 2 years. Kirk Cousins style on the franchise tag, get about 70, 80 million over these next 2 years, fully guaranteed, and then hit the open market. Imagine what's more likely. Okay, now I'm not trying to be a negative guy, but let's really play this out from a realistic standpoint. What's more likely to happen? Him playing 2 more years on the franchise tag, getting about 80 mil, and being a free agent and still being him at this level at the age of 27? Or him playing on this deal for 5 more years and being him at the age of 31? I'd rather be him at 27, heading into 28. I think it's an easier perch to reach at 27, 28 than still being him physically in terms of running and throwing at the age of 30, 31. But that's a roll of the dice. Like there's no way around. I mean, the money's fully guaranteed, but you just don't have the long-term security locked in like you have here with the 5-year deal. And that's kind of where you have to choose. Like, are you willing to jump out there and say, to hell with it, I'm going to bet on myself 2 more years, I'm still going to be him, and I'm going to go out here and cook him for 2 more years, and then if not them, somebody going to give me the bag, not just a bag, the bag, because I'm going to be 27 and still him, as opposed to, all right, I got to last 5 more years. And then I could be free and clear. 5 more years. That's a 10-piece. You're giving the Ravens a 10-piece. And then you're free and clear? I mean, okay. That's asking a lot. It's quite possible this is the only real crazy contract he gets. I'm not wishing that upon him, But that's the roll of the dice. And whereas if you did the franchise tag for 2 years, he would have got 32.4 this year. He probably would have been on the exclusive tag next year. That's a 40, 45 plus bag there. You're collecting about 70 M's, and then you hit the open market. Then you could bang him with the Kirk Cousins deal. You could bang him with the Watson deal. Or if you still have to take a traditional contract, Burrow would have signed by then. Herbert and Trevor Lawrence would have signed by then. And who knows, maybe even Mahomes would have spun the block. Now the numbers would have been that much higher 2 years from now. So that's why, to me, it's like you didn't have to, in my opinion, you didn't have to do this. You could have played on the tag for 2 years. All these dudes are not going to follow you. Joe Burrow and Herbert were not going to follow him. Trevor Lawrence was not going to follow him. They were going to take the traditional contract route. So you could have spun the block in 2 years after collecting about 70, 75, 80 M's off the franchise tag, fully guaranteed. Then you could have cashed out. Either the Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins way or the traditional way. It's a choice. It really is a choice. Scrub Zero. And there's some void years at the end of Lamar's contract too. Yes, there is some void years. He'll never, this money is more prorated. So as you see here, the 2028 and 2029 years automatically void. So if he reaches 2027, these numbers void out. That's essentially what it is. If he fulfills the contract, years 2028 and 2029 automatically void. Robert Gray agreed. Yeah, I just think, man, like if Lamar would have just, I mean, I get it. I know why he did it, but there's so many ways this could have played out. And I'm sure him, his mom, and his people that were representing him or helping represent him from the NFLPA, I'm sure they explored all these methods. So I don't think I'm bringing up nothing that they didn't consider. At the end of the day, it's just a matter of, okay, Lamar, what do you want to do? Do you want to just take this bread and get locked in? Or do you want to roll the dice out here? I mean, when it comes to his PCL injury, he said he just started feeling completely healthy a month ago. A month ago. So when you're looking at that in terms of how long it's taking him to recover from this latest injury, it would make sense to just say, you know what, let me lock them in. Have them give me that 185, even though I got to wait a few years to get it. Let them give me that 185 as opposed to going out here and playing just this year for 32.4 and then having to do it all over again the next year and only playing for 40 whatever million. I understand it. I get it. But if we're going to jump out here and have this long drawn out process, it just would make more sense to me to be in the position of I'm betting on myself. I mean, he's betting on himself in the sense of he has no agent, you know, and all of that stuff. He's betting on himself in regards to influencing the Ravens to improve help. So they got Odell Beckham. They got Zay Flowers in the draft. Like he has implored them to get better and to help him so he can help them. Help me, help you, right? But I just wish, we would have had that drama, that chaos of him jumping out there and really saying, no, I'm going to do it this way because I want to be unrestricted when I'm 27 instead of going into 31. Scrub. I personally would have taken the path of the franchise tags while I in Lamar's position, but each path has their risk and benefits. That's facts. And then that's why ultimately, me and you are all on the same page, Scrub. Facts. Because if you're convinced you're him, and nothing about Lamar ever makes us think that he doesn't think he's not him. To me, it would have been the point of, okay, I'm going to go out here and play on this tag for 2 years. 32.4 this year, 40-something next year, and I'm going to be unrestricted at the age of 27. Worst case scenario, age of 28. That to me is better than being unrestricted at the age of 31. You're not going to get a 10-year deal at 31. I don't think you're going to get a 5-year deal at 31. I mean, maybe you get the Russell Wilson deal. Maybe. How long was that deal? What was that extension? And again, you have to remember the circumstances of which he got that deal. Yeah, he got a 5-year extension, but it has an out after 3 years. Excuse me, after 4 years. So you're going to have to do a deal like that. When you're at, look, he got this deal at 34 years old. And again, the Broncos essentially had no choice but to do it. Allegedly, there weren't a lot of other teams that were willing to jump out the window this much to give Russell Wilson this contract at this big age. And Lamar is going to be way more predicated on his legs at 30 plus than Russell Wilson was when he got this deal. Russell Wilson turned more into a traditional drop back quarterback way quicker than we imagined Lamar Jackson's ever going to. Even though Lamar said today he wants to throw for 6,000 yards this year. He wants to throw for 6,000 yards, and he feels he's got the weapons to do it. We'll see. That offense looks great. They got a new OC in Monken. We'll see what he does. But, you know, it's a roll of the dice either way. It's a roll of the dice. I'm agreeing with the chat, Scrub Zero, Robert Gray. I'm agreeing with y'all that if I was Lamar, I probably would have rolled the dice and try to play out the tag. But fortunately for him, he decided otherwise and decided, I'm going to take this money now rather than wait for that money. And that's cool. That's cool. So I'm trying to see if they give us any other information in regards to how the contract is. Okay. This was one of the more, let's skip all that part. It ended up looking, smelling, and feeling like any other top of the market contract. So again, even the conclusion of Spot Track, who does this for a living in terms of assessing contracts, analyzing contracts, it ended up looking, smelling, and feeling like any other top of the market contract, including most of the standard structure practices that the Ravens utilize with all of their multi-year deals. By waiting until age 26 and with large franchise tag number hanging in the balance, Lamar put the ball back in Baltimore's court. He was clearly willing to cave on the fully guaranteed contract as long as every other metric in this deal was eye-popping. And it is. Could he have pushed for Russell Wilson's $124 million fully guaranteed at signing? Sure. But you know what's even better than that? $80 million in 2023. And that's where, again, like we spoke about earlier, when it comes to if you're going to take a traditional contract, you have to pick your metrics, right? Like we said, there was thoughts that he wanted fully guaranteed. Clearly didn't get that. There were thoughts that he wanted more guaranteed than Deshaun Watson. Didn't get that. Okay, so if you're doing the traditional format, what numbers do we have to beat? Jalen Hurts got 179 fully guaranteed. Okay, I need to beat that. All right, cool, 185. How about that? Great start. All right, Jalen Hurts is getting $51 million a year. I need to beat that. Okay, let's give you the total value of $260 for 5 years. That beats Jalen Hurts by $1 million. Cool with that? Yes, I'm cool with that. Now, when it talks about one lump sum in terms of signing bonus and annual salary, so that's total guaranteed at signing, He beat the prior record of just a signing bonus of 66 by Dak Prescott with 72. Cool. But now, in regards to that fully guaranteed in terms of signing bonus and annual salary that first year. Now, could he have pushed for the Russell Wilson one where it's 124 fully, which I believe was the signing bonus and his first year salary? He could have. He could have. But he'd rather take 80 M's in one fell swoop. Because if you want that 124, let's go ahead and break down that 124. Let's break down the 124 for Russell. I appreciate those pulling up, hitting the like. I appreciate it. All right, so signing bonus is 50. Where all this money come from? Where's the 124 fully guaranteed? He got the signing bonus. He got 2022, 2023. Oh, okay. So he got it all up front. Okay. Russell really cashed out. But he got the signing bonus. So they moved up everything. They guaranteed everything for the first 3 years of this contract. So you know how on the Lamar contract, he's got to wait at least 1 year, and then he's got to wait another year, March 2025 and March 2020. They did none of that for Russell Wilson. They gave it to him all. They gave him 2022, 2023, and 2024 straight cash homie up front. So he got the signing bonus, which is the 50, and then 3 years worth of pay and bonuses all up front. So at guaranteed signing, he got 124. So that's how we got there. Interesting math, right? Interesting math. NFL money is always interesting money because since it's not fully guaranteed, these teams have to be creative. They have to be creative in the structure. They have to be creative in how they backload it, front load it, annual this. Can this convert to a bonus? Can this be an incentive? So on and so forth. Whereas literally in every other sport, every pro sport, baseball, basketball, even hockey, fully guaranteed, no problems. Only in football do we have to, do all these hoops in terms of, well, when does this bonus kick in? When does this money vest? And so on and so forth. When it's like, yo, dog, just pay these dudes. The owners don't make enough that they have to, backload these contracts or front load these contracts or put, impossible to reach incentives. You see Kirk Cousins, 35 guaranteed at signing. What's his annual salary? 35 a year. Straight cash, homie. Straight cash. Robert Gray. I believe EDC attempted to avoid offering a no trade, no tag in Lamar first contract offer. Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense. That does make sense. And that's probably part of the enhancements. They used this original framework for Lamar, and they just made some enhancements. And part of those enhancements was the no trade and the no tag clause. But again, you have to understand Lamar with the no trade, that's fine. Jalen Hurts got that, right? No trade, that's fine. But in regards to the no tag, that's important. But again, he has to wait 5 years now to be off that tag, to be out the contract with no tag and be completely unrestricted as a free agent. It's a long time, man. It's a long time. And again, he could have been unrestricted if he just played on the tag for 2 years, like this guy right here, Kirk Cousins. He could have gotten to the unrestricted process sooner. But you take the money, and even though, 102 and a half of it is, basically roster bonuses on the back end, you just have to pick and choose your pick and choose your options. Pick and choose your options, because to me, I would have fought for it. This Aaron Rodgers one is interesting because we don't know his Jets money yet. Oh, here we go. They updated it. Okay. So here's where this gets funny. Now, you see here it says total guaranteed $150 million and $815,000 to go along with it. And you see the contract terms is 3 years, $150 million, $815,000. But if you really get into the money, especially with the trade kicker, it's a lot of funny money here. So they're going to have to restructure this deal for Aaron Rodgers. Unless he just don't care about the money and let some of it go void. Because again, look at this deal. We know most likely Aaron Rodgers is not playing at 2026. We know he's most likely not going to play at 2025. Yet there's money here that would be owed to him, that would be sitting with the cap hit of 50 plus M's at that time. So something's got to give here with that contract, because if you're adding in the 35 and the 15, that gets 50 with the roster bonus, that gets you 56. And then you get $5 million less of that the next year, and you got the cap hit of $50 million. So the Aaron Rodgers deal was thought to be a great extension in terms of fully guaranteed money. Not so much now with this trade to the Jets. They got to move some money around. And the Deshaun Watson deal, even though everyone claims that deal is impossible and it's hard to build a team around it and yada, 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 the Browns have already restructured this contract. And it doesn't matter to Deshaun Watson none. He still gets his $230 million. But in regards to cap hits and so on and so forth, the Browns have already moved the money around because they have people that whole ass job is to be able to do that and to know how to do that and be able to execute that. So I believe they freed up about $19 million in salary cap space by restructuring Deshaun Watson's deal. And again, he still gets his bread. Don't matter. And that's why, to me, this framework can be used going forward. This is not an anomaly. This is not something that's impossible. Teams can do this, but the owners don't want to do it. Okay, I think we can, pivot away from all the Deshaun Watson's, all from the Lamar Jackson stuff, but that's where we're at with it. Hopefully that was a good enough breakdown for y'all, but that's where we're at with it. There's a lot of money there. Salute to Lamar. He got the bag, or he got a bag, in my opinion, not the bag. He could have played 2 more years on the tag, but you're rolling the dice there. But you could have played out the tag for 2 years. You could have seen what Burrow, Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence would have gotten in that time frame. Maybe even a restructuring of Mahomes' deal, and then bang him in the head as an unrestricted free agent. But in that process, you would have only amassed 75 mil, whereas in this deal, you're getting not only $80 million alone in 2023. Okay, so you're getting more than the 2 franchise tag years combined. So again, these numbers matter for a reason. That's why the structures are the way that they are. He didn't want to play on the franchise tag over the next 2 years. He's essentially getting more money than he would have gotten on the franchise tag this year than he would have over the next 2 years. So that's how you get to circumvent stuff. You want me to bow down and not do that tag thing, but you're going to give me that tag money plus some up front. So again, there's parts of it that is very smart and parts of it that I understand. I just think in totality, it would have been really interesting to see how it would have played out if he would have hit the tag, if he would have did the tag for 2 years. Scrub Zero, thanks for the breakdown. I appreciate you. Thank you for pulling up. Appreciate it. All right. I'll make this quick because that game was horrible last night, but the Celtics destroyed the Philadelphia 76ers. Embiid comes off the PCL strain. Some say tear, who knows? And it really didn't matter. He could not move left to right. I was watching the game. I really thought we would have gotten more from Embiid, but he looked tentative. He looked to be moving gingerly, and he just didn't play that well, if you just want to keep it a buck. But the Philadelphia team as a whole did not play that well. They did not play that well. They shot the ball horribly. Jason Tatum was not good either, but it didn't matter because Jaylen Brown, who had all of 10 shots in game one, came out and was way more aggressive. 17 shots, 3 of 6 from three, 25 points. He was active. They didn't really need Jason Tatum. He didn't play that much, as you see here. He only took 7 shots. That is very rare that, the Jason Tatum would take so few shots. But this really was the sum of the others overwhelmed the Beard and Joel Embiid. I don't know if that's going to continuously happen throughout this series, but unfortunately, it really just came down to right now, off that game one, where, the Celtics could feel embarrassed that they lost that game to the Sixers and they let Harden go crazy. They made a much better concerted effort to surround the Beard. The Beard only got off 14 shots. But again, he didn't play the whole game, and he was 0 for 6 from 3. So the 3 was not falling and the midi was not falling. We talked about that after game one, how the bulk of his shots were him utilizing the mid-range. As much as we focus on the threes and him getting to the free throw line, a big part of his success in game one was him being able to be deadly from the mid-range. So he did not get that off last night. Maxey was okay in the first half, didn't do much in the second. And again, Joel Embiid, he looked tentative. He had times where he had Grant Williams and Marcus Smart guarding him at the top of the key, and he did not get the ball. Or when he got the ball, he was not that aggressive with the ball. So that to me felt he didn't really have a lot of confidence. It was a big, bulky knee brace that he was sporting last night. So it just wasn't meant to be. He was effective defensively with 5 blocks, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't their night last night. Like Scribzio's bringing it up. Someone forgot to tell the 76ers there was a game last night. That's facts, because they came out listless. I don't know if that's Doc Rivers. I know Sam Cassell is very important to how that team comes out the tunnel. But, they just didn't bring anything. And the fact that they got blown up by 30, 40 plus and Montrezl Harrell still didn't play tells you about where he stands in the rotation there. But I won't spend too much time on that because, that game was over so soon and it kind of killed the spirits, because now we're hitting the part of the NBA schedule to where we're only getting 1 game a night, maybe 2 if it's a weekend or something like that. We're only getting 1 game a night. So if that 1 game is a game like last night, it's like, I waited up all night for this. Thankfully, it wasn't a West Coast game. It's someone here on the East Coast. I would have waited up, to a 9 o'clock start, 10 o'clock start, and it's a blowout. I would be furious. And that leads us to, wait, let me just go through the shot chart. I've been doing this a lot here on the stream. People have been liking it in terms of breaking down the shot chart, because sometimes you can just look at the shot chart and kind of get a grasp of what teams were attempting to do. This is Philly, Brick City, way too many threes from the top. So in game one, I believe there was way more wing threes. Now you see where, okay, so now here's the adjustment. The Celtics forced the Sixers to attack and shoot from the top of the key. This is where you see the bulk of their shots, the bulk of their three-pointers especially. They took some corner ones. I think PJ hit 1 or 2. But in terms of, this is Harden, this is Maxey, this is Embiid, like these are their main scorers. Force them to only shoot from the top. A lot of bricks in the paint, a lot of contested shots. That's Horford, that's Time Lord, all of that. And you can see what Boston did. No middies. No middies. Threes and in the paint. Only, I don't count these as middies, right off the baseline here. This is a midi. I consider that a midi. Top of the key, that's a midi. Nothing on the elbows. So only 2 middies, all threes and in the paint. So this is very much how the Warriors play. And that's why it was so interesting to watch them match up last year with the Celtics and the Warriors, because both teams play, even though their roster makeup isn't the same, how they play offensively is very much the same. The Celtics are very much a copycat of the Warriors. Although it doesn't seem like it, they very much are. So when you look at what they're able to do here, a lot of threes, tons of threes. Was it like 53, like the Warriors the other night? 41, no, 51. So damn near like the Warriors, okay? So Warriors had 53 threes the other night in their game one. In game two, the Celtics come right behind them, pause, with 51 threes. But they shot a way better percentage, 39%. So that's that. I'm not going to waste too much time on that because the game tonight is the one we need to focus on. The game tonight, game 2, Lakers, Warriors. Can the Lakers break the streak? With Philly going down last night, that was the 14th time a road team that won game 1 lost game 2. Tonight, the Lakers have a chance to break the streak of 14 straight losses by the road teams who have won game 1s. Now, I'm not going to say put money on it because we had some money on Philly last night in different props, and since they shit the bed, those bets also shit the bed. But I think you're going to have to look at it as, can the Lakers break the streak of 14 straight times where a road team that's won game 1 has taken an L? Can the Lakers make it 1-14, or will they make it 0-15? Because this is going to be about adjustments. The problem is, I don't know where the adjustments are going to be if you're the Warriors. Looney isn't going to get any bigger. They have no size to compete with Anthony Marshawn Davis. If he continues to play like this and give you another first half where he gives you 20, 23 in the first half, and you could say he kind of let him off the hook in the second half, but he just kind of bricked some shots. He took enough shots. He took 9 shots. But that first half, 9 of 10. No threes. He wasn't playing around. He got to the line. He had a double-double in the first half. And if we look at his shot chart, where did AD do work? All in the paint, dog. All in the paint. He gave you a midi. He gave you a couple of middies, but all in the paint, dog. He gave you some elbow. He gave us some elbow here, 4-out elbow. But in the paint, dog, that's where you want Anthony Davis. Now, if we go first quarter, all in the paint, and he gave you a midi. Second quarter, didn't do that much, but he got inside, and he hit you with another midi. Third quarter, in the paint, and then he took that 3 that was ill-advised, tried to hit you with another midi. Fourth quarter, took a 3 that was, again, ill-advised. They were up 7 at the time. And again, in that paint, you have to like that. So if you get that type of Anthony Davis, again, tonight, where the shot chart looks like this, where he's eating in the paint, Lakers going to be hard to beat, especially against a team that doesn't really have the size to compare. And we talked about 53 threes for them. Lakers only had 25 threes, and they shot horribly, so they learned, stop taking them threes, go inside. 67 two-pointers compared to 25 three-pointers. That's how that's supposed to go. Scrub Zero, these teams taking too many threes, need to get more in the mid-range. Yeah, that's a whole fact. That's a whole fact. And that's the problem when you're trying to copy the Warriors. The Warriors could take so many threes because who they got that's going to score inside, right? And they're not built for that. Like, that's why they had to bail on the James Wiseman experiment, because they took a real big who potentially could score inside, but you have to change your offense to work him in, and it didn't make sense, especially when they could have had LaMelo, but that's another story for another day. I have a YouTube short on that if you want to go look for that. But in regards to these other teams, they should not be trying to shoot as many threes as the Warriors. You don't have the best shooter that's ever graced us. You don't have Steph Curry. You don't even have a Clay. So why are you shooting 50 plus threes a night? I could understand a team that has Steph Curry and Klay Thompson shooting 50 threes a night. I can understand that. That makes sense. But a team that doesn't have that, why are you copying the Warriors? Anyway, and that's how the Warriors beat people. Because you see these dudes running down, taking threes, and they're pulling from 30 plus feet out, and Jordan Poole is a splash cousin. He wants to get in the mix, and he's yanking from 30. That's nuts, bro. Jordan Poole is not that. He's not Dame Lillard. He's not Donovan Mitchell. He's not, I'll even throw in Trae Young. He's not Trae Young. But he's getting 30 M's. He's getting 100 mil to act like he's those guys. Will the Lakers break the streak? And LeBron is clearly hobbled, right? Like LeBron is clearly hobbled. He can't shoot. He's been horrible from three this entire playoffs. I mean, he's out there on 1 foot, dog. So can LeBron on 1 foot and Anthony Davis, is Anthony Davis a motivated, paint-driven Anthony Davis and a 1-footed LeBron James enough to beat Steph Curry? It seems like it, but game 2 would tell us a lot. Game 2 will let us know exactly what type of time we're going to be on. Is this going to be a 6-game series? This series could still go 7. I don't think the series is over. I mean, I picked the Lakers. I picked the Lakers in February. I think the Lakers are still going to come out the West. I think they're going to find a way. Having Vanderbilt, I saw the meme of, the 96 Bulls with Pippen, Jordan, and Rodman. And then you have the Lakers with AD, Bron, and Vanderbilt. And I kind of get it. I'm not saying they're as good as that and all that type of stuff. That's another stream for another day. But I kind of understand what they're talking about because Vanderbilt's not there to score. He's there to play defense and to cause havoc. Play defense, cause havoc. Okay? That's what his job is. And with what you saw with Steph was 2 for 10 when guarded by Vanderbilt? He's that type of a guy. 8 points, 6 boards, all of that is irrelevant. It's more his defense. D'Lo should be able to get shots off. D'Lo should be in this upper teens, low 20s every game. Austin Reeves could chip in. Austin Reeves has low-key just really locked down that starting point role. Schroeder was thought to be the guy, especially once they finally got rid of Pat Bev and Russie. But Austin Reeves has taken that role and locked it down. D'Lo's come back from the injuries, and he's been playing solid. I won't say well. He's playing solid. He's really good in the 2-man game with AD. So, having that time in Minnesota with Karl Anthony Towns has definitely translated over here to Anthony Davis. Lakers going to be hard to beat. I don't know how many teams. Denver has probably played the best out of all the playoff teams consistently throughout this playoffs. But then you have to look at who they faced. And we'll see how they do once they get game 3 against Phoenix. They had a great Jamal Murray game in game 1. They had a great Nikola Jokic game in game 2. And more importantly, Jokic has just been, he's not even focusing on scoring that much. I mean, he had to in game 2 because Murray was off. But he's been more just punishing DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton is looking really, he's got 35 rebounds in 2 games. 35 rebounds in 2 games. Where DeAndre Ayton, Kevin Durant has out-rebounded DeAndre Ayton through 2 games. That tells you all you need to know. KD has out-rebounded DeAndre Ayton through 2 games. And Jokic has out-rebounded the 2 of them. Well, no, they only got him by 2, right? Yeah, he's almost out-rebounded them. He only has 2 less rebounds than KD and DeAndre Ayton combined. That's the type of time we're on right now. So, looking forward to the games tonight. Y'all let me know who y'all got, Lakers or Warriors. Lakers or Warriors tonight. Where y'all at with it in the chat? Let me know. I think it's going to be some great action tonight. I'm rolling with the Lakers. I think the Lakers break the streak of road teams, winning game 1. I think they break the streak and go up 2-0. If Anthony Davis plays like he's supposed to, I think they take care of business. Scrub Zero, Ayton needs to step his game up. I don't think he can, Scrub Zero. I don't think he can. I think that's just who he is. Haven't we seen his movies enough? Don't we know who he is at this point? Like if we really want to get into DeAndre Ayton, look, man, salute to the Bajans, but like dogs. Like he's just not. He's a finesse big. He's a finesse big. Like I think at some point it's kind of like sometimes you just have to accept your homie is who he is. You got the scammer homie. You got the lying homie. You got, the broke homie. And sometimes you just accept who that friend is. I think this is the same thing with DeAndre Ayton. You just have to accept it. He's just a finesse big. Like the numbers look great. Like if I went to somebody and said, look, my starting center is giving you 18 and 10, averaging about 1 block, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? But like when you watch him play, you don't really get that vibe. His numbers have gone down in the playoffs. And he can't get his own shot. You can't dump the ball into him and say, yo, give me a bucket or at least draw a foul. You can't do any of that. He needs the point fraud and the one y'all call CP3. I don't call him that. He's the point fraud to me. He needs the point fraud just to get these numbers. Just to get 15 a game, he needs the point fraud to set him up. Scrubs, you got the Dubs tonight? Okay. I get it. It's hard to see a team like the Dubs lose 2 straight, especially at the crib. They're going to have to do a lot of doubling, trapping, fronting on AD because we know LeBron's on 1 foot. So if they cook up a defensive scheme, maybe they put up a wall like how the Heat had that Giannis wall a couple of years ago in the bubble. Maybe they put up a AD wall to where wherever he touches it, you're sending 2 and 3 people. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe that's where you go with it, but we'll see. Scrub Zero, yeah, I can't defend Ayton anymore. Boy, it's soft. Yeah, he really is, dogs. He really is. Like I can't, I actually had a lot of high hopes for him. I thought he had some post moves. I thought I saw some at Arizona in college, but never seen it in the NBA. Oh, Scrubs, you didn't know what the point fraud? Oh, yeah, the point fraud's a thing, man. I do a podcast, the CMD podcast. Low key, it's been nominated for a couple of Black Sports Podcast Awards. No cheap plug there. But yeah, I've come up with nicknames for NBA players on my pod, and the one for that guy I call CP3 is point fraud. He's a fraudulent point guard. He is a guy that as head of the NBPA, circumvented the CBA to benefit himself. So again, as a head of the players union, he changed the language of the contract just so he can extend the max age for max contracts, which only benefited himself. As well as, if you know his history, he's been a dirty, flopping, nut punching, groin punching fiend throughout his career. When you look at those New Orleans Hornets teams that were thought to be oh so great and he led them and so on and so forth. If you look at that starting lineup, damn near everyone in that starting lineup went on to win championships except him. Everywhere he's gone, he's been snake bit. To me, it's the almighty, the honorable basketball gods that have said, no, we are not going to allow this nefarious charlatan to get a Larry O.B. It's not happening. No matter what you do, you can go to Houston and team up with the Beard. You can go get, Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. You can go do any of that stuff. You could do any of that. Do whatever you want. You could go to Phoenix and team up with D-Book. You could be up 2-0 against the Bucks. We're still going to find a way to rip it from you. And every single year, it has been that. And it's put a warm feeling in my heart every time he's eliminated. Every time he's eliminated, it's a celebration on my podcast, and it's a special episode, and I'll put a lot of production into it. So if you want to check that out, hit the DSamD podcast link in the description. It's always called Take 'Em to Church, because it's the church of the basketball gods. And we give praise to the basketball gods when the point fraud falls down and goes boom yet again. So him, Game 2, right? The Suns were up 8. Point fraud pulls that groin. What happened? Nuggets come storming back and go up 2-0. A team with D-Book, Kevin Durant, Ayton in a point fraud is going to get wiped out in the second round. Glorious. All praise be to the almighty basketball gods. Scrub Zero, copy that word. Look, I'm here for it. So if, but more likely when the Suns get eliminated, this is the place to be. I'm telling you that right now. This is the place to be. Lock it in, all of that. So, but in regards to DeAndre Ayton, and thanks for those who are pulling up. Appreciate it if you could drop a like if you haven't already. If you haven't subscribed, this is the type of content you're going to get. If you do subscribe, it's a daily live stream from 4 p.m. Eastern on. Sometimes it's an hour. Sometimes, like today, it's hour and a half, stuff like that. So it's just a live stream. I come on, I pull information from the timeline, and I present it to you, the audience, in the form of a live stream sports show. So if you like that type of content, feel free to subscribe. Channel's gotten a lot of growth over the last couple of months. Just kind of started doing this on a whim, just seeing if I could find like-minded people. The Lamar Jackson stuff has really, polarized this content and polarized this channel. Some people love the content. Some people are not fans of it because I am not a fan. I just come on here objectively and speak from a position of, well, if this were me, what would I do? Not the notion of, I'm a Ravens fan. I want Lamar to sign for this. Or, I'm a Lamar Jackson fan. I want him to do that. I'm like, no, I don't care either way about the success of the Ravens or Lamar. I look at it from an objective perspective. Salute to Star. But let's see. Let's hit the timeline one last time. Make sure we didn't miss anything while we're out here. Check Twitter real quick. Let's see. Hockey stuff. It's a lot of bets. LeBron lying again. Okay. Here's something with this Tyler Lockett thing. Tyler Lockett became a licensed real estate agent last offseason and sold his first home. His real estate group, Live and Serve, just became the official realtor of the Seahawks, the team he's played with for nearly a decade. So Tyler Lockett's real estate firm has obtained what may be the first sponsorship between an NFL player's company and their team. That is big money talk. I'm getting paid by the team, and I'm owning a company that's getting sponsorship money through the team that will ultimately come back to me. I'm getting 2 checks. How do you stop the funny money in the NFL? By getting 2 checks. That's how you get them. That's how you get them. I support it. Go ahead. Go ahead, Tyler. Go ahead. I support it. Getting some reports of Bam Adebayo's availability for Saturday, Game 3 against the Knicks. He cannot be entirely ruled out. Let's see if we could pull this up real quick since we're doing a lot of NBA on the back half. Let's see. Oh, this is about trading him. I thought this was about his availability for Saturday. They're still talking about trading Bam Adebayo? Yo, Heat culture is wild. The notion of trading Adebayo cannot be entirely ruled out. Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald. Like, why are they talking about trading Bam Adebayo? They're 3 wins away from the conference finals. And let's keep it a buck. Can we have a real conversation about Kevin Durant? Can we really have a conversation about Kevin Durant? Y'all let me know in the chat. I know it's mostly Scrub Zero in the chat today, but y'all let me know if we can have a true and open and honest conversation about Kevin Durant. Based off what you've seen from Kevin Durant, let's just pull up the numbers. Now, the numbers are the numbers, right? We know what his numbers are. I'm just going to ask y'all this. Next year, he'll be 35 years old. Are you really willing to give up what it's going to take to get Kevin Durant in there? Is Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant still going to be worth what you're going to have to give up next year? Let's keep it real now. Let's keep it real. He's a bucket. He'll always be a bucket. You could wake him up. He could go to sleep for the next 15 years. You could wake him up. He'll still go out there and be able to get you 20 plus. But is he number one option good right now? Is he number two option good right now? He is a scorer. Not saying he's not a scorer. I'm saying if he's the first or second best player on your team, are you a contender for a championship? And again, we're not talking about Warriors Kevin Durant. We're not talking about OKC Kevin Durant. Those Brooklyn years were good. To me, it was not Warriors good, but it was still good, still top tier, right? How many more years do you think Kevin Durant can get this off? The game is easy for him, right? The game is easy for him. But does he have that, damn, am I really going to say it? All right, fuck it. Kevin Durant, killer instinct. Is it a thing? I'm just asking. Because I just don't feel he's that guy anymore. Still love watching him play. He's still top tier. I'm not sitting here saying he's not even top 10 in the league. That would be ridiculous. And y'all should definitely destroy me in the chat if I ever come on here and say that. What I'm saying is this. You see this dude, 30 plus, and this is when 30 was still 30. Let me see. Can y'all see that? No, I don't think I can see that. Let me move. Can I move that over? All right. And then I would probably have to drop. All right, cool. Let me make sure I can see that. All right. You see this right here when he led the league in scoring 4 out of 5 years? This is when the points weren't inflated. This is when 30 was still 30. And this is his third year in the league. That's how good he was. League average was low 20s. He was giving you 30. Again, league average is low 20s. He's giving you 28. And then 28 again. And then 28 again. And then it goes really crazy and goes 32. Again, when the league average is low 20s, maybe creeping up to mid 20s by the mid 2010s. But now we're getting to the point where he's still giving you 27, 28, 29. But now that's almost league average now. 30 points a game is now the new 25 points a game. The offensive scoring has skewed that way with more and more people being proficient at taking three-pointers. So is Kevin Durant's 27, 28, 29 as impactful as it used to be? I guess that's more or less what I'm asking. So he's always going to be able to give you upper 20s. And then I don't know if he could still give you 30, although he almost did a couple of years ago in Brooklyn. But that was a lot of heavy lifting with no Kyrie. I'm just wondering, do these numbers still hit the same? And yes, I know if he would have wore a one size smaller shoe or half a shoe size smaller a couple of years ago, they would have beat the Bucks and all that stuff, and maybe they go on to win a Larry O'B. Maybe there's a lot of coulda, shoulda, wouldas. Didn't happen. But are these points as impactful as when he was giving you 30 when the rest of the league was giving you 23? Now that he's still giving you 27, 28, 29, and the rest of the league is giving you 27, 28, 29, is this still as impactful for a man that's going to be 35 next year? Are you still willing to give up what it takes to get him? Are you now just trading for the name and less so the impact of what he can do offensively? I think it's a fair question. I'll hit the chat. Gives you a title like doing his thing. Word. He definitely is. That's a big move. 2 checks. I think KD is still that level of player in this NBA. Okay. I think he has the killer instinct, but he needs a guy to roll with him who has their go-getter mentality like a Jimmy Butler. Yeah, him and Jimmy would be interesting, especially come playoff time. That would be interesting. That 29-30 don't hit the same like it used to. And that's kind of my point, Scrub Zero. That's kind of my point, because if you're the Heat, you're going to have to give up Bam. Probably got to throw in Tyler Hero. You kind of have to look at that Phoenix trade with Brooklyn, right? They had to give up 2 young pieces that are ready to play right now in Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, right? So you're going to assume Miami will have to do the same. Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero. Maybe you throw in some other guys just to kind of make it work. Maybe a couple of future first, protected first, however you want to do it. But is that really worth it to then just be left with just Jimmy Butler and Kevin Durant? Because that's kind of what happened with Phoenix. They had depth, and I don't necessarily know if they needed Kevin Durant. Like, y'all now know how I feel about the point fraud, so maybe because you're just left with D Book shouldering a lot of the scoring load. So maybe you think you need a Kevin Durant, but at the cost of gutting your bench, which is now being exposed. It would have been, I think it would have been exposed if the Clippers were healthy in the first round. And now it's definitely being exposed when you see the Nuggets, who could go 8, 9 deep in the rotation, and all those dudes can go. Whereas Phoenix might be limited to 6, 7 guys. Now with no point fraud, maybe 6 guys. 6 in the possible if you're playing spades. Like, this is what they are right now. So they did all of that to give up. They gave up their bench to go get Kevin Durant. The problem is that now you have Kevin Durant, so you're good there, but now you got no bench. It's hard to have both. How can you have Kevin Durant and trade for Kevin Durant and still have enough guys on the bench worth a damn in the playoffs? That's going to be the balancing act. And I don't know if Miami can do that. I don't know if there's any team that can really do that, because you're still going to have to give up enough pieces to go get him. No matter what team it is. We could even take Miami out of it. No matter what team wants to trade for Kevin Durant, you're going to have to give up enough young pieces that are ready to play right now, and then have enough guys left to be able to hoop once this team gets into the playoffs. That's a lot of dudes on the roster you have to have ready to go. Scrub Zero. Nah, Miami still needs some bigs. As it is, I don't think he's a move to make at this point. Yeah, I don't know how many teams can even do it, Scrub Zero. I don't know how many teams, like if we really look at these rosters of, we know KD, he's going to want to go to a team that is a contender, right? Let's see. I don't know if any of these teams, like we've heard the Boston stuff, right? And Jaylen Brown potentially could be moved because, you know, he wants to be a free agent. He's going to be a free agent next year. And it might be prudent if he wants his bread. He might not get it from the Celtics, so they might have to make a decision on him, right? So if you're the Celtics, what are you trading for Kevin Durant? Let me get the telestrator out. Let's do a little red color, little arrow. All right, so you're going to trade Jaylen Brown. Who else? Do you throw in Brogdon? Because if you're Phoenix, you know the point fraud is done. So if you're trying to trade for Kevin Durant, Jaylen Brown, Malcolm Brogdon, what else? You probably want something else. I don't know what here is available. Grant Williams is a free agent, so you can't involve him. Derek White, I don't think you can involve him. I mean, that might be enough. Brown and Brogdon might be enough. You throw in maybe some pick swaps, all that type of nonsense, future first considerations, whatever. That might be it. That might be it. Brown and Brogdon as the core to go get a Kevin Durant. But now you go do that, right? Now you have KD and Jason Tatum, and they're very close. They work out together, so on and so forth. So you have that. That's a hard 1-2 to beat, right? But then Marcus Smart, like your bench is now depleted because Brogdon is the lead guy off the bench. Now your bench is depleted. Now you're talking about Peyton Pritchard getting more run as now the lead guard off the bench. I don't know if I want that. All right, so Boston could be in the mix, but again, they're going to deplete their bench. They're going to lose a wing, a young wing at that, as opposed to bringing in an old wing in Kevin Durant. And then you're going to lose a guard on the bench who could be a starter for any other team and potentially could be passing the baton. If you're Phoenix, all right, let's finally get the point fraud up out of here. And now we got Brogdon and Booker and Jaylen Brown and Ayton. Low key, that might be a better big four than what they have right now. Scrub Zero, you let me know. If you're Phoenix, would you rather have a big four of Brogdon, Booker, Jaylen Brown, Ayton, or the big four they currently have? The point fraud, Booker, KD, and Ayton. Like, that might be something. Just saying. Just saying. Who else is another team that could potentially be in the mix here? I don't think KD would go to Cleveland. See, that's the thing. Like, there's not a lot of teams who have the bodies to pull the move off. I mean, Denver has a surplus, but I don't see KD going there. Dallas? No, because then that means you got to throw in Luka. Not doing that. Portland? Portland. It starts with Jeremy Grant, right? Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons. Do you throw in Nazir? See, that's kind of the problem because, like, if it's going to take minimum two, it's going to take one young starter, another young rotational player, minimum, to make the move. Once you do that, then that's the framework of the trade. But then you still need to add more, and that's where it gets shaky. Script Zero, I have no faith in tater tots as it is. Okay, we're calling Tatum tater tots. Okay, I dig it. And I'm still not going to believe in him with KD. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of the same dude when it comes right down to it. Kind of the same dude. I think the Suns just need to move off of Ayton. I don't see the Suns improving in the trade by Boston. But that's why I was so stunned when they agreed to bring back Ayton. It's the perfect time to move off Ayton. I get it, I guess. In theory, it's like a leverage play where like you have to kind of keep your guy. If no one's going to make a respectable trade offer for him, then I guess you just re-sign him. But I felt it was like a no-brainer to just move on. They could have definitely moved on from, DeAndre Ayton or sign and trade. They could have did anything. I was really stunned, especially when it's clear him and Monty Williams do not get along. Now, I have my feelings about Monty as coach. I am not the biggest Monty Williams fan. In terms of his coaching style, I think his coaching leaves a lot to be desired. But I mean, DeAndre Ayton just can't he just can't do what a big man's supposed to do. 6'11", 250s, finesse. Dominating. Come on, dogs. Dominating? Seriously? Who's he dominating? He's dominating in December. Dominating in March. But when it comes May, June, he's never dominating. It's wild, yo. What was his shot chart? Let's have a quick laugh before I wrap it up and get out of here. Let's have a good laugh at DeAndre Ayton's shooting chart. No, I got to go back to where we at. Go back to the Suns. Let's see if we can find that. Wow, they're just going to have that. Okay, yeah, here we go. Shot chart, DeAndre Ayton. He literally can only score within 2 feet of the rim. Look at this. He literally... Yo, what is good with him, son? He can't fucking score. He literally has to be next to the basket to score. Look at this shit. He literally can't score from anywhere else. I mean, this must have rattled around the rim and went in. But look at this shot chart. If it ain't right at the rim, he can't score. 6'11", 250. In the physical prime of his career, and he literally can't score from anywhere else. This is why he needs the point fraud. This is exhibit A of why he needs the point fraud. Because he can't score on the block. He can't score from the mid post. He can't do it at the top of the key. He literally can only do it right at the rim. You can't get a more pertinent shot chart of a player's skill set than right here. This tells you everything you need to know about DeAndre Ayton. And this is not a small, this is the entire game. At the rim, dogs. That's it. Scrub 0. Ayton is finesse, and Monty Williams doesn't give him the confidence or the trust to go through him. I mean, I don't even think, I think Monty has tried in years past. I think he's learned his lesson, and that's why they're kind of beefing, which is why I was stunned that they brought him back. But I think he tried to instill confidence in him. But he only has confidence when he has the point fraud feeding him. He doesn't know how to get to his own spot. He doesn't know, like sometimes you'll see Anthony Davis should be the perfect example of DeAndre Ayton to mimic. Now, again, he doesn't have the talent of Anthony Davis, but in terms of how to be a big man, but not necessarily have the size of a big man, but still be able to play big. Anthony Davis isn't no 300 pounds. He's not leaning on dudes wearing them down, but he uses the fact that he's 6'11" with a crazy wingspan, and he's still able to make an impact offensively and especially defensively. And he does it through finesse at times where, he does just the screen and roll. He slips the screen and dives to the rim. And, I did a whole breakdown. I'll give you the example using the telestrator. All right, so let's say AD sets the pick here, right? He sets the, no, wrong one. We want the arrow. Give me a second, let that disappear. Okay, we want the arrow, right? So AD sets the screen here. He can then slip the screen and dive to the rim. Or he can pop out back here for a little pick and pop at the elbow. Or he can do a runaround and get the lob. So it's either a straight dive to get the little midi, the float or whatever, or he can come around and circle back and go for the lob. Ayton can only do the lob, as you see here. He sets the screen here, and then he's just running to the rim waiting for a lob. That's it. There's no pick and pop. There's no, pick and let me get my little floater off here, depending on if the defense drops or sags or whatever. It's none of that. It's none of that. Whereas AD is all those options and more. The pick and pop is a thing for him. He can dive to the rim, or he can try to get the lob on the backside. That stuff matters, but Ayton is just limited. He sets that screen here, and he's immediately running to the rim. And this is where all his shots are at. It's frustrating because it's like the skill set is there. Why can't he stop and pop? He should be able to do this. He should be able to have a little floater in the lane. As a finesse guy, this should be his game. Pick a pop at the top. You could dive and get a little floater, or you could do the lob game. But he doesn't do it. That's just not who he is. It's extremely frustrating to watch. Extremely, extremely frustrating to watch. Scrub Zero. Mans has a replacement player's mentality. Yeah, he definitely just doesn't. He's so hard to decipher and to define. He's a player where it's like, all right, you could be a defensive stalwart. That's fine. But the problem is you then ask for the ball in the paint. If you're not going to show the skill set to be both, then stop acting like you're both. Stop doing it. You don't have to do that. Be who you are. If you're a defensive big that can finish at the rim, you're a rim runner. You're Clint Capella. The problem is none of us would ever take Clint Capella #1 overall. But that's what Phoenix did. And we can talk about, the former owner, Robert Sarver, and his ties to Arizona University and why that may have happened. But ultimately, they did it. They took a defensive-minded rim-running center, #1 overall. And this is why he's maddening to watch. If he would have been a top 5 pick, top 10 pick, I don't think we're killing him as much. But the fact that he was #1 overall, and all the experts told us he could develop into something more offensively, and all we got in the years he's been drafted is the fact that he can do a dive at the rim, and that's it, or maybe catch the alley. Sad, man. I mean, look at this shot chart is crazy. I mean, y'all see it. Let's see if we can. 2-pointer from 3 feet. 2-pointer from 1 feet. 2-pointer 1 feet. 2-pointer 1 feet. 2-pointer 1 feet. These are just dunks. Then he mercifully made a 17-footer. This is early in the game. It's the first quarter. After the first quarter, nothing else from out here. Ayton is being what he is, a good, sorry dude. Yeah, I mean, that's sadly it's come to that, and that's facts right now. So let's see. We did our 2 hours. Yeah, we're coming up on 2 hours. We got to get ready for the game tonight. Thank y'all for being here. Appreciate y'all pulling up. I won't keep y'all too much longer. Thank you, Scrub Zero, for being active in the chat. I do appreciate that. It helps push the conversation sometimes when I'm just sitting here talking. You help push it, so I appreciate you in the chat. Salute. We'll be back again here tomorrow to wrap up the week. Another Friday edition of Timeline T. I am your host, D. Sam D. We'll be sure to recap the games the game from tonight. Lakers dubs. Script Zero has the dubs. I'm rolling with the Lake Show. See if they can beat the streak of road teams winning game 1 and losing 14 straight in game 2. Let's see if the Lakers can go ahead and beat that streak. So appreciate y'all for pulling up. Script Zero, you know what it is. I will check out tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Time for another edition of Timeline T. I am the Sam D, a.k.a. Sam Duzame Jr. Peace.